Hi guys, it's Jess and welcome back to my channel, and yes, I am back with another book tag video, but this is the Summerween Book Tag. So if you're not aware of what Summerween is, it is a readathon that is being hosted this week by Gabby over at Gabby Reads and Olivia at Olivia Reads a Latte. I will link their channels down below, as well as the original creator of this tag video, and also all of the readathon details if you want to take part. It is taking place until Friday the 8th? Yeah, it is the 8th of July, and I have been really looking forward to this, and there is a tag video for Summerween where we just get to talk about some of the spooky books that we are excited to read, or that we're planning to read, or that we have read, etc, etc. So without further ado, we're going to jump straight in to the questions. So the first question is, what spooky reads are you most excited about in your TBR list / pile right now? So the first one that I am very excited to read, which I am currently, maybe I might be reading this by the time this video goes up, is The Deep by Nick Cutter. So I talked about this quite recently, but I've been very excited to read this one ever since I read The Troop last year. That book was absolutely phenomenal, such a great horror. So I'm really excited for this one. And then some other spooky books that I'm excited to read that are on my TBR is Misery by Stephen King. I've heard incredible things about this one, and this is like about an author who gets held hostage by a crazy fan who's like demanding he finish the book within a certain time frame. Sounds really interesting. And then we also have Night Film by Marisha Pessel. This one has been on my TBR for such a long time, and I finally have a copy of it. But I've heard incredible things about this, and it's also very interactive, and it has like really cool elements to the book, like photographs and stuff, that just kind of make it that much more exciting. And then we also have a very recent purchase of mine, which is The Sanatorium by Sarah Peirce. I've actually heard not great things about this, but I'm excited nonetheless, because just the idea of a sanatorium being turned into a hotel, and it's set in the Alps, and it's cold and snowy and remote, just sounds really creepy to me. So I'm really looking forward to this one as well. So the next question is, what's your favourite revenge novel? And I spent a bit of time thinking about this before filming the video, and I honestly don't know if I've read any revenge novels. I'm pretty sure that I have. I must have done at some point. But I can't think of one off the top of my head, so sorry about that. Moving on to question 3. What's a horror or thriller / crime book you wish you could experience for the first time? And there are a few books that I could have picked for this, but I ultimately decided to go with Gone Girl. I know, I'm so predictable, but this is obviously my favourite thriller in the world, and the first time I read this book, I was absolutely blown away. I consider this book to be the book that got me back into reading, that made me into the reader that I am today, and this book just has a lot of importance for me because of other reasons as well. But I read this book so quickly, and I was just absolutely blown away by it. There were so many things going on in my head while I was reading this book, so many reactions, just so much emotion coming out of me when reading this, that I haven't quite had a reading experience like it since. So I would love to go back and read this one for the first time, because it was just so much joy. So question 4 is, sucks to suck. You were just given a handful of your least favourite candy, the one not even your siblings or friends will trade for. What candy is it, and what spooky book did you want to love that disappointed you? So, candy. I don't eat a lot of sweets, but I know that I don't like licorice. Licorice, all sorts, blackjacks, things like that. I'm just not a fan. So if someone handed me that, I would be really upset because I'm not going to eat it. And then a spooky book that I was really looking forward to that disappointed me. There's not been many, but the first one that I thought of instantly was Leave the World Behind. This had such a crazy good concept, and I was so hyped for this book, and I'd heard incredible things about it. But in the end, it just didn't work. For me, it was just way too speculative, and the writing just didn't do anything for me. It's not the type of writing style that I enjoy in this kind of genre. And yeah, like it just wasn't as spooky, as dark, as brooding, as atmospheric as I was hoping it would be. Yeah, it was just a massive letdown. I'm really sad about it. Question 5 is time to put on your costume. If you could exist in one spooky novel, which one would it be? Who would your best friend be? And to be honest, out of all of the spooky books that I have read, I don't think I would want to exist in any of them because, yeah, like, I get scared really easily in real life. And I just don't want to have to deal with that and worry about having a heart attack every 5 seconds. But if I did have to choose a book, it would be a book with vampires because I love vampires. I'm sorry, I'm one of those people, but if you give me a book with a vampire in it, I'm going to read it and I'll probably love it. But I have gone with The Radleys by Matt Haig. It's not the best book in the world, and it's not like the best vampire book I have ever read, but it was very different, and it's set in the modern world, the world that I currently live in, so there we go. Kind of cheating. But I would hang out with the Radleys. It's this family of 4 vampires who are trying to live like normal human beings. And my best friend would definitely be Clara, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Radley. Just because she seems super cool and interesting and a lot of fun. So the next question is, what's your favourite haunted house book and or television show? So I haven't read many haunted house books in recent years, but I did recently read Home Before Dark by Riley Sager, and that was a really good twist on the haunted house trope and the best one that I've read so far in my opinion. I absolutely loved it. It just had the most amazing atmosphere and the most amazing plot and the craziest of things going on. And then my favourite haunted house television show would probably be The Haunting of Hill House. I know that's so predictable, but that one was just absolutely incredible. On the other side of that though, there is another TV show about a haunted house that I do really, really love, and it is very different, and that is called Ghosts. It's on the BBC, and it is a show created by the cast of Horrible Histories, and it is just absolutely hilarious. It's about this couple who inherit this massive house, and there are ghosts there, and the ghosts are trying to get rid of this couple, so they're doing all of this crazy stuff to try and get rid of her, but she can actually see them, and loads of hilarious antics ensue, and it is just so much fun. Like, it's child friendly enough, you know, that your kids can watch it, but there are jokes in there for the adults as well. Yeah, it was just, that show's a lot of fun. Go and watch it if you haven't. it's great if you want to have a little giggle and also watch something a little bit spooky as well. So question 7 is the food question. You can only pick one from each. Would you rather? So the first one is chocolate or sour candy. And I would go for chocolate, even though I can't really eat chocolate because of my milk intolerance, which is really sad. But I do love chocolate. The next one is coffee or tea, and I absolutely hate coffee, so it is always going to be tea. I love tea. I'm British, so, you know, I've got to have an English breakfast on the go, or an Earl Grey, or an Assam, or a peppermint, just something tea related going on. And then the last one is apple or pumpkin pie, and I've never had pumpkin pie. We don't really have that over here in the UK, not that I'm aware of. Like, I've never seen pumpkin pie here in the UK. I've had a pumpkin tart, kind of the same thing, but I much prefer apple pie, you know, with the ice cream and the custard. Absolutely delicious. I'm gonna have to go and have some now. We have some at my work, so I might drive around and get some. Question 8 is, show us your favourite book with a witch or a woman who gets screwed over by society and the patriarchy. I mean, there are so many books that could have fit this question, but I've gone with Cinderella is Dead, another recent read for me. And I wouldn't necessarily say that she gets screwed over by society and the patriarchy as such in this book, but she does live in a world where the patriarchy just really doesn't treat women very well, and everyone has to live under the rules of this king, who is an absolute bastard, and women go through so much crap, and they just take it because they have to, they don't have a choice. And this girl Sophia is, you know, she's like, fuck that, I'm not going to live under these rules. And she's the one that kind of begins to dismantle it. So she's not really screwed over by it as such, but it does affect her at some point in her life and the people around her, the women around her. But this book was amazing as well, so go and read it if you haven't. So question 9 is, which book on your shelves or audiobook library has the scariest book cover? And it's not on my audiobook library, but in my Kindle library, I have The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones, and this cover just really creeps me out a little bit because of the elk antlers, and I kind of love that trope of having elk or deer on the cover of a spooky book. I love it. It really, really draws me in. And then another book that I have that is probably one of my favourite book covers ever, and probably one of my favourite spooky book covers, is the cover to this edition of Dracula. I've never seen this edition anywhere else other than in the shop at Whitby, where I got it from, at Whitby Abbey. And this is an illustration of Whitby Abbey ruins, and the vampire up the top there, and it's just really, really atmospheric. It's so simplistic, but at the same time it does the job, you know. It's creepy, it tells you everything that you need to know about this book. It is dark and there's some spooky stuff going on, and yeah, like, I love it. I don't think it's like scary, but it's definitely the spookiest. Question 10, it's Summerween and it's hot outside. What books do you recommend that give off summer vibes? Think lakes, cabins, beaches, etc. Whatever reminds you of summer. So this was another one that I really had to think about, because a lot of horror books that I do read, spooky books that I do read, are kind of set like in the autumn and winter time. That's just a massive coincidence, and it's probably because I'm drawn to that season more than the others. But there are a few books that I do have, spooky books, that are set in summer, and Dracula is one of them. This one is set between like the months of May, I think, and through to like October. So it goes through the entirety of summer and some of spring and some of autumn. Yeah, so this book starts on May the 3rd and it gets to like October the 31st. So that's the first one. It's also set in Whitby, which is a beautiful seaside town in Yorkshire. Amazing beach, just amazing fish and chips, amazing scampi. Whitby scampi is just to die for. So that definitely reminds me of summer. And then another one which is set in Whitby is the Whitby Witches. And this one does feature the sea very heavily. And this one is a lot of fun to read as well. And then the only other book that I could think of that reminded me a little bit of summer is If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. And I actually haven't finished this book. And it's not one of my favourite books. I do not like it. But this book does feature a beach quite a lot. I don't know if it is set in summer. I think it is. But, yeah, like, there's a beach and there's a murder. So, yay, summer. So, question 11 is, you and your friends are exploring a well-known haunted house. You get separated and suddenly you hear screams coming from somewhere upstairs. You run into the next room and find two of your friends. Which two fictional characters are they? Who do you want in this situation with you? So the first one I would say would be Alina from Shadow and Bone, just because she's the Sun Summoner, and who wouldn't want the Sun Summoner with you in that kind of situation? And then the second character I would pick would probably be Jacoby from Jacoby, because he's a bit like Sherlock Holmes. You know, he's a very intelligent detective, but he can also see and sense supernatural creatures. So he would be very handy in that situation, because if there's a vampire or a ghost or a werewolf or something lurking in the shadows, he will know, and he will know how to save us all. Question 12 is Trick or Treat. Stephen King, H.P. Lovecraft, Mary Shelley and Shirley Jackson are at your front door. Who do you give the best and biggest candy bar to? I'm going to go with Mary Shelley, because, you know, Mary Shelley is the pioneer of science fiction, of spooky literature, you know, and I just have so much admiration for Mary Shelley as a writer, as a woman, as a person. So yeah, Mary Shelley all the way. Sorry to the other three, you're all great, but I love my girl Mary Shelley. Alright, and the last question is, what is your favourite spooky book to movie adaptation where both of them are good? And very predictable, but I'm gonna go with Dracula, because, I mean, there's been so many Dracula movies and TV shows that it's very hard to kind of narrow it down. There have been some good ones, some bad ones. The Christopher Lee movie, really, really good. Probably better than the book. And the Dracula Untold film with Luke Evans in, I thought that was quite good. I know some people don't like it, but I thought that was a really strong movie and a really interesting take on the Dracula origin story. But I'm kind of going to go with it's not a movie, but it's the TV adaptation of Dracula that came out at the start of 2020, featuring this guy, Clay Spang, as Dracula. Wasn't a fan of how the show ended. The last episode annoyed me quite a lot, but I've seen a lot of Dracula TV adaptations, and this one was by far the best. The first episode was incredible. The second episode was even better, and this guy is probably one of my favourite incarnations of Dracula. He was just everything that Dracula is supposed to be, you know, creepy, sexy, dangerous, charming, funny, intelligent, volatile. You know, he just really, really embodied that character and gave it his all. And yeah, like, I was blown away by it. So that's my answer. I know it's cheating because it's not a movie, but whatever. It is what it is. Alright guys, so that's the end of the tag. I will leave all the questions down below if you want to get involved as well. If you're taking part in Summerween as well, then please let me know. Let me know what you're reading and how you're getting on. I had a lot of fun with this one. It's nice to go back to talking about spooky books because I have been missing them and I have been wanting to read them again, so this has just been the perfect opportunity for me to do that. Please let me know if you've read any of the books mentioned in today's video or any of the answers to these questions. I always love to hear your opinions and feedback. Please leave a cheeky thumbs up if you like this video, and please subscribe to my channel so you can see more videos from me in the future, and I will see you all in my next video very soon. Bye guys.